Welcome back, Red Spotters, on the show here on Red Spotlight. This is episode number 227. I'm your host today, Alexis J. Soto. Are you guys okay? I'm not sure if we are, but we'll see if we are right now. I'm joined today by Kyle Lira, Essential Worker of the Month. How are you doing today? We're also joined by David Francisco, who is also Essential Service Worker of the Month. How are you doing? Yeah, and we're also joined by Alexis.
Hello.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Very unceremonious. Holy shit. It's okay.
The lovely and talented Alexys Moreno, everybody.
The old as fuck Alexys Moreno.
Old as fuck? Yeah. Okay.
All jokes.
So today we have another podcast, and this one's actually the first in another series of podcasts, considering that Avatar: The Last Airbender was just recently dropped on Netflix for the first time in quite a bit, and it being a program that we are all such big fans of, Alexys Moreno really, and I mean really, wanted to do something to commemorate the release of that series on Netflix.
Gross.
And so we've all taken the liberty of going back and revisiting the show. Some of us who hadn't seen it in quite some time. Alexys Moreno is a Avatar mega fan, if you will. But all of us are. We love the show deeply for many reasons. And so we're beginning this episode as the first in a series of episodes, basically recapping and rewatching the series. And we'll take each installment in a cluster of episodes. We'll be taking it 10 episodes of Avatar per podcast. So for this one, of course, we have the first 10 episodes of Season 1, Book 1, Water, and the rest, well, you know. So, there you have it. Where should we start?
Well, the first episode, I guess. I mean, I don't know if you guys want to do, just talk about the whole episodes in general, or just go episode by episode. Because I feel like each of them have something interesting. Mm-hmm. I feel like most of these, except maybe the last two, 9 and 10 maybe, I feel like all of them are very important. Mm-hmm. Which I like. I mean, even the last two, I feel like they kind of show a lot of character and story development, or just world building. So I don't know, I feel like this is an interesting start.
I agree with that, but it may be an appropriate place to start off with these 10 episodes. So what do you think about these 10 episodes draws people? What do you think works in a way that, new audiences can latch onto it? I mean, I think the first thing that I would notice is the character work.
Yeah.
I'm hearing, the character work. One of the things that I've noticed is there really isn't an episode in here, and I don't know, because again, it's been such a long time since I've seen, especially Book 1. Mm-hmm. It's like, whoa, that's a while back. But there wasn't a single episode that I think was a waste.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. If you know what I mean. Uh-huh. There are a lot of shows, even some of the best shows like Rebels or Clone Wars, where you have almost entirely filler episodes, which they can be enjoyable. Mm-hmm. But you get the sense that they really had it done well in this series where, and again, just the first 10 episodes, every single last one was working to build character, plotline, storylines, and of course, doing all of that while getting you really into the world of what this is, at least the feel of it.
And I think that's why I love this show so much, because it makes you get so invested in all of these things. So, the first one. No, let's not even there. Let's start off with the opening, sequence.
Oh, that legendary. It's legendary.
Yeah. I mean,
fire, air.
Yeah.
These were the ingredients to create the perfect little girl.
Yeah, like, I love that it's not a song. It's like, it's a poem type of thing. Mm-hmm. And never once have I, like, skipped the intro. Like, even like, on Netflix, the ending, like, when the credits hit, I hate that it doesn't play the whole song.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, that intro, I think it's great. It's all that you need to start every single episode, because even if you start off in the middle, like, you essentially know what's going on from that intro.
Yeah. I think, like, the mystery of what the fuck an avatar is. Like, mm-hmm. you realize that he is, an amalgamation within this little boy, but, like, what is the main purpose of him other than, like, he was the chosen one?
Yeah.
But it's so much better than that, because if you really think about the context of that opening intro, you don't have, in most, if not every single television series out there, animated or otherwise, let's say you want to introduce this to somebody that had never seen this before, to get them a feel or a taste for what this is. You don't even have to, let's say they want to know what it's about. You don't have to do that. Just show them the intro, and it perfectly tells you what this show is and what the main mission and goal of this is. It's unlike anything else. And when you first saw that opening intro, it was unlike anything else you've ever saw. You were so completely sucked into it almost immediately. And it's like, whoa. Even if your mind can't process it immediately, like, when you're seeing something truly different and special and unlike anything else. And it's weird because, like, Avatar: The Last Airbender, along with Korra, are among the most unique animated shows ever broadcast, especially here in the Western world. When you just look at all of the other kind of shows that were playing on Nickelodeon or Cartoon Network or Disney Channel, right? Mm-hmm. It was just completely
different,
unlike any of those things. Yeah. And there was part of it that made it feel so, like, The Last Airbender is so good. And you see that in these first 10 episodes, that I feel that it elevates it beyond the network that it's broadcasting on, clearly. Mm-hmm. Imagine if things like HBO Max or Netflix were around back then, and if this had dropped, it would have been a massive success. It would have been, I believe, Stranger Things level success had they been around back then.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and especially, like, it's so interesting looking at it now, because, like, there's such a huge resurgence in animated programming. I feel this day and age than it was before, because back then the programming that you would get was very pandering, very loud, rambunctious animated cartoons and all that stuff. But then you have something like Avatar, or even in recent history with, like, regular shows, Steven Universe, Adventure Time, you have these really complex stories that you see it and you're just seeing, it's just like, it's just colorful and all that stuff. But no, there's actual deep meanings with their characters and all that stuff.
And I think this show kind of started that, which I truly appreciate.
Yeah, I mean, without this show, there would be, like, no Gravity Falls. There wouldn't be anything like that. There will be no Rick and Morty. Like, the way the gravitas that it. Sorry to sound pretentious. But, like, the weight that the level of storytelling that these shows have, it seeps through everything that came after it because of that. I mean, everybody's like, okay, I mean, it won multiple Emmys and all that stuff. It's definitely had a long lasting.
It won a Peabody Award, I think.
Yeah, which is a very prestigious and to have that kind of impact and deep legacy that the Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's still, like, I don't know how many fucking years it's been since the finale, but it's still going strong. Like, it just, like, a new episode just aired yesterday. You know, that's how like deep ingrained in like pop culture it still has, you know, and since then it's been slowly growing and growing and growing. And it's really unique because I know you don't like it, but I made this comparison. Jenna Fisher, she was on Jimmy Kimmel. She plays Pam Beesly in on The Office, and Jimmy was like, how shocked are you about the impact that The Office has had, you know, to the younger generation? And he said, well, it's crazy, this whole Netflix thing being dropped on, that a lot of people who didn't get to experience that before are now all of a sudden, you know, they have the opportunity to see that, you know, and all at once, like all this, you know, this rich history and story that the Avatar, The Last Airbender series has, a lot of people are experiencing it for the first time.
And all of it would be nothing if it weren't for the characters at all. And I think a big part of why that first episode works so well is because you're almost immediately charmed by them. There is like, they feel so down to earth and authentic. And one of the things that completely caught me, I mean, they're all likable in their own way, but they're all kind of different too. And one of the things that I must have just... It had been a decade since I've gone back and seen these episodes, mind you.
I'm actually really jealous of that. Like, I can't restrain myself from watching it, like, from not watching it.
Yeah.
Like,
You have a yearly revival.
Yes, I do. So it's kind of cool that, like, you haven't seen it in a while and, like, you get to relive that again. But
you forget certain details. And one of the things that, you know, I forgot, and it's introduced fairly up front, is what a complete sexist Sokka is.
Oh yeah.
And how Katara immediately calls him on that shit, and it's like, man, if this had come out today, people would attack that as an SJW propaganda, manifesto or something. Like, that's how people are today, or at least how the internet behaves when things like that are introduced. But like,
it's funny. Like,
whoa,
it's funny because I'm sure by the time it aired on television, that episode, like, that's what you see a lot on other cartoon shows or television for kids. You just see a lot of male characters being pretty sexist, and this is kind of like the only one that like calls them out on their shit.
Like, I mean, it's very rudimentary, but like the whole like cooties kind of.
Well, it's also this like chauvinistic mentality, and you kind of understand though where Sokka can get that, him being like the only man left in the village or in the south, the southern nation.
And he's very macho about it too. But but
it's understandable, like, where he's coming from. Also, like, you know, he, like how you guys said, he's the only kind of male figure left in their tribe. He was left in charge to take care of everybody that was there, the kids, the elderly, the women, because all the men left to fight this 100-year war that's been going on. So I don't blame him. I obviously don't agree with him, but I don't blame him. And that's what I love about, like, the characters and, like, what you see from the beginning is that they are super down to earth and they are so relatable, but they're also very flawed and complex. Each of them. Yes.
These are kids in war. You know, one of the things that's so incredible is just noting the similarities and a bunch of other coming of age stories, like the original Star Wars, for example. Like, a lot of people forget, like, oh yeah, I mean, yeah, because they were live action actors, but like Leia and Luke were 19 years old. Like, I think Han was not even 30 at that point. Like, and then at this particular like mythos, they're literally teenagers.
Aang is 12.
Yeah,
like,
not even a teenager in Aang's case.
And like, again, it's like. This is why it has such a long-lasting legacy that this show has, is because, like, you really see, like, you know, in modern day stories and all that stuff, you see them talking about, like, you know, the effects of war and all that stuff with adults, but you don't really see, like, innocence being taken away. I mean, the rightful balance of the violence of his tribe, you see Zuko being, you know, completely devoted and completely driven by this, like, angsty honor system that is tribe brainwashed on him, you know, and it's just like that kind of propagandist thing that, you know, his father has been like putting into everybody in that tribe. I mean, it's just like the effects of war and all that stuff. I mean, they were kind of in a cold war between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, and out of that Cold War you have a byproduct, which is Kylo Ren, you know, and that's what makes, like, you know, that kind of character interesting, is because you get byproducts of what the war does to people, and it doesn't just affect adults, but you see the youth being very impressionized on that, and that makes it very interesting, and you'll really see that. I mean, it's not, they don't really talk down to kids, you know, about this effect. You know, it's very adult in what it tries to tell you.
Yeah.
There's I want to talk about Zuko here, and the journey in these episodes, because it's like, again, having the perspective of not having seen this in literally a decade, I find it striking. Of course, appropriate for, you know, what we know what happened. But from the get-go, this Zuko guy was never really portrayed as evil or bad. You have Uncle Iroh, who is my favorite character on this show, for many reasons, of course. We'll get to Uncle Iroh, he rules. But you have him there from the get-go to really establish Zuko's humanity. Because you can't really tell from the exterior, because he just looks like a bad guy. He has a burned up eye. The way that he looks, and his completely like ravenous, like driven hunger for the Avatar and chasing them down and everything. But you do get the sense from the very beginning that Zuko is on a very different path than the rest of the Fire Nation. And it helps to also distinguish that, since he is banished, he and Uncle Iroh. One of the questions I've always had about Uncle Iroh, and maybe you guys can answer this, because I don't know if it was mentioned in these 10 episodes. I think it might be mentioned, but it was just kind of glossed over. Why is it that Iroh is like, some Fire Nation people like look up to him, and some like think he's a coward, or like he's like nothing but like throwaway, like Prince Zuko?
Well, that had to do, it's not mentioned in these 10 episodes. It's like way later on, probably second season. But he took part in a big battle in Ba Sing Se, which was a...
They mentioned it, I think, in what he got captured in one of these episodes.
Yeah, by the
and it was
Earthbenders.
Oh,
right.
Okay.
It
we
was
have
the
to talk about like
Earthbenders.
individual episodes too, because like a lot of things happen. But this is fine.
All right.
Yeah, this is, I mean, this is just a little bit of backstory with him, but Ba Sing Se, it's like an impenetrable force, one of the only nations still standing after the 100-Year War. And some people praise him because for trying real hard in it, but others think he's a complete failure because he left. You know, I don't think it wasn't really like a defeat. I think he pretty much left.
He left because I don't know if we should say it.
I think we can wait on that. That piece of information. But
so just to be clear, he was never banished. He's just in self-exile like Yoda.
He was like
he wasn't banished.
But the Fire Lord was like looked down on him because he left, and so he
exile.
No, for sure he went with Zuko because he saw some good in him.
Yeah. But also, I think he was also just pushed out from the Fire Lord, because of his failure.
And not only that, but he was always like on the side of good as well, and that will conflict with Fire Lord Ozai's interests, you know. So if you constantly have like a good seed within the plant of bad, you're not gonna you know, do your bidding as well as you'd like. So he was just like,
I love
babysit my kid.
The old man humor here with I love first of all, Iroh was just hilarious. There was this whole, like, we turned the ship around in one of the episodes because I need to find the lotus thing. And then he had it the whole time, and then Zuko, like, throws it into the water out of complete frustration. It's so hysterical. But then also King Boomy, who was Aang's friend from 100 years ago, who literally... He practically says that I'm old and it's fun to mess with people, which is kind of like all old people in a sense. But like they also do it in where both Boomy and Iroh play the fool, and people constantly underestimate them. But you notice even in the camera as it moves, every now and then, like, they give away like like. They're completely there and they're paying attention.
Yeah.
Like, it's so sudden when Boomy just gets something and he hurls it at Aang to see if he can use his airbending to, like, deflect it. And I wondered when I was watching the King Boomy episode if Boomy recognized Aang from the beginning, which I would imagine he had to, because he looks the same.
I think they did like a look on him too. It's like as soon as he first sees him, I think they get a close up on his face and he kind of raises an eyebrow, going, and so that was basically the first hint.
I would love to resume this podcast, but first I must get my ginseng tea.
Oh my god. But yeah, so returning. So basically, like, the first 2 episodes are just introducing Aang.
Right.
I don't think... I mean, the Avatar is mentioned in these episodes, but Aang himself doesn't mention that he's the Avatar, at least in the first episode. Right. Until Zuko comes and takes him away. And we also don't see Aang kind of using his airbending as much until the second episode when he has to escape from the ship. Which is great. And then we also get to see, like, firebending, like, at its, like, fullest there, at least for the first time. Or we get to see, like, a battle, I guess. A bending battle.
Right.
And, like, we don't see, like, the style, like, stay stagnant. We see, like, different methods in which these people use their bending skills throughout the whole entire series.
Yeah. Which I also like the detail and the attention to detail that they put in each. I don't even know what to say, like, how to call it, like, thing and
fighting style.
No, just like in every thing about the show, like the animals, the way that each nation is, like, built, like.
Right. It's fully realized.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I guess, like, the best one, I guess, that you can, like, talk about is the bending styles. Which, like, you know, airbending is, like, evading and, like, just not fully, like, attacking. Whereas, like, fire is fully attacking. And water is, like, a more, like, flowy type of feel.
So, yeah. No,
very passive.
Like, it's basically how Zuko's. Oh wait, is the Blue Spirit in the first time?
I don't believe that's there.
No.
I mean, slightly ahead, but Zuko is very skilled at swords, and basically what they when any, like, movie or show you see that talks about swords, they always say it's an extension of themselves, and that's basically what firebending is. They use it as
say it here.
Yeah,
they say it here with the Kyoshi warriors, where I believe, what was her name, Suki? It was showing Sokka, you know, her way of the Kyoshi warrior, and the fan is an extension of.
Yeah, and that's basically how they use firebending, as an extension of themselves. And you see them; they kind of always, like, stretch out their arms all the way, while some other bending styles. I think Aang, he does have it, like, close to his hands close to his body, just to kind of keep his defense up, so he can evade. And water bending, it's basically like a whip, and I think that's, like, one of the first moves they learn. It's like a whip thing, where they start off. It's always starting off slow, but then it just goes straight to attack, and that's basically water bending. Earth bending. It's just all tough moves, you know, you stomping, big hits, and all that.
which is great.
I like how, like, behind the scenes, a little bit of inside baseball, like, it's based on actual, like, martial arts. Like each nation and each bending skill is based on a type, you know?
Yeah.
And I like that how it's like based on like Tai Chi or something like that is like very earthbending and all that stuff. I mean, it's very like, and again, it's something that I want to point out is that I love how lived in this world is. It's like the thing that captured me about Star Wars is that this world feels like some people have lived in there. It's not just like sets and props and set pieces and all this stuff. It feels like there's history here. It feels like people like, oh, somebody went out and harvested that morning, you know, and some like, you know, you could feel like there's something that went on in those in like the villages.
Like
that
it just feels very organic and like lived in.
Yeah. So we're 30 minutes in. You want to start talking about the first episode?
Well, I mean, that's kind of basically what it is. It's just like introducing you to each character. You know, you have Aang, who's you don't know basically in the first episode at this point. Like, you know that the war is going on, but you don't really know who Aang is. But you just get to know his personality, which is regular 12-year-old kid who just loves to play and have fun. Katara, who's very motherly, and by the way, Katara's like she's okay, at least to me. She kind of annoys me in like some parts. And then you have Sokka, who's just
why
like,
do you hate
goofy women? I do not. But she's just like, I don't know. I'll explain later.
That's her Captain America. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's my Captain America?
Yes, the way like, Kyle hated Captain America.
Oh, yeah.
But here's the thing. I when Endgame rolled around and I saw him like doing what like everybody said that he does and everything like that, when I see Captain America go against all odds and try to face down that army alone, I was like, you know what? Maybe he's not so bad.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I feel like these first like few, maybe up until like the third season, that's kind of when I like start like but yeah, and then you have Sokka, who's just like this big old goofball, but like he's like actually kind of really intelligent, and like, you know, sometimes you don't know what he's talking about, but he knows what he's talking about.
And again, it comes from like the pinpoint of like lost childhood, I guess. Like he's still like restored all that lost childhood that he had from like all the responsibilities and like all that stuff, protecting his village and all that. And you could see why he's like frustrated a lot of the time, because like he is kind of like the surrogate father of the tribe as well. So you have that, but like it's so like endearing that the first words that Aang says is, "Want to go penguin sledding with me?"
Yeah, and that pretty much tells you all that you need to know about his character. Like, he's in this like ice ball, and you're just like, what is happening? And he's just like, yeah, let's just go play.
Yo, guys, what's up? Let's chill out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, like he just always wants to have like a good time and stuff. And then, well, yeah, you have Zuko, who's just like this like tortured emo teenager kid who's like banished from his kingdom, which is also really, I don't know, I think his story is like super interesting.
Yeah.
I also love that like they kind of put Aang and Zuko's story as like, I feel like the main two stories, and then like coming together. I don't know. I really like that.
Well, at first, like it really starts off like antagonistic and everything that, and all that stuff. Again, it's like another character we know that I'm gonna mention.
Yeah, it's Star Wars. Okay. All right, we'll move on from that. All right, so with episode 2 or 3, there is a great duel between Commander Zhao and Zuko, right? When Commander Zhao realizes that Zuko was lying to them and that the Avatar had been found. And it also does a lot of things. It shows you the prowess and already what a skilled fighter that Zuko is, especially with firebending. He was able to best Zhao in a one-on-one duel, basically. And I think we also see snippets in those episodes that Iroh trains Zuko. And it's interesting because, like, in those episodes, you see Iroh be a little bit passive, not with Zuko, but with a lot of the other Fire Nation people, like Zhao. He's kind of just drinking his tea, and, you know, he's just kind of, like, listening and taking it all in.
Thank you for the tea. It was delicious.
That was, yeah, but that comes after he basically, like, tells shit to Zhao in front of his face after, like, so, like, Zuko won, and Zhao was like, well, fuck you, I'm gonna, like, hit you back after you've already beaten me, and, like, Iroh comes in and, like, saves him, and it's, like, that wonderful, like, proud speech that he gives is also important for Zuko to hear right then and there. So, from the get-go, you're right when you point out that Zuko and Aang and their stories converging are the main story of The Last Airbender, and it's important for us to get that impression from the very beginning and what we see right there. Because that was the main, I think, aspect of that episode, besides Aang finding an air temple and Roku activating.
Well, this is, I think, episode 3, I think, is one of the most important episodes, because like, the first episode shows us the surface, but then the third episode, it shows us what's actually underneath and what they actually feel. So in the third episode, Aang finally finds out about the war. Well, not about the war, but just, like, how long it's been, and he finds out his people have been wiped out.
The hard way he finds out. He's, like, looking at it in the face.
Yes, he finds his best friend from 100 years ago, his skeleton in his home with nobody around. It's been 100 years, and he's just, like, he completely breaks down, and he goes into the Avatar state, which is, you know, always triggered by, like, huge trauma that happens. Insane. Like, what? And then like, with Zuko, it's not just a duel, they're fighting to the death. Like, he challenged him to their thing of, I don't know what an equal, I guess a duel, Agni Kai, but it's basically you fight to the death. And that is how he got banished in the first place, because he challenged his dad his dad challenged him to an Agni Kai. Which is how he got burnt and stuff. So that's, like, a big thing also, like, for his character. But yeah, I think I love that. Like, out of all the 10 episodes, I think that one's my favorite. But everything that has to do with Aang and, like, his people, I cry every time. Like, I don't know I mean, obviously, like, it's just so tragic. Like, you're this 12-year-old kid who runs away because you find out that you're the Avatar. So you find out, like, you literally have the whole world on your shoulders. And then you get trapped in an ice ball, come back 100 years later, and find out there's a war and your people have been wiped out. That's nuts.
And also, like, the level of guilt he must feel, too, for leaving.
Yeah.
When this shit went down. I mean, there's, like, so many things to, like, delve into. And because, like, there, again, you metaphorically mentioned it perfectly. It is like this giant iceberg, you know, kind of thing that, you know, you only see the surface and, like, you know, the first couple of episodes, several episodes, but then, like, it just goes for it after that, and it just, like, hits the ground running. Yeah.
I think you guys said everything about that episode.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. Oh, and then yeah, he meets when he goes into the not the Avatar state. It's when he goes into the statues, right? To go see the statues.
Mm-hmm.
That he meets Roku.
I don't think he met Roku there yet.
Oh, the dragon.
That's not yet there yet. We're not there yet.
I think I think after this they go to the Earth Kingdom.
Yeah,
the
next episode. That's not until episode 7.
Oh, okay. So yeah, the next one is the Kyoshi Island one, which is great. I think that one is the first one we see the people and the effects of like the war, I guess.
And
then yeah, we get to meet the Kyoshi warriors, which reasons why I'm not a woman hater. Suki is like. Man, I love her. She's just like this badass like fighter.
I think about it now. I think one of the cool episodes about it just kind of shows you the effects of what an avatar can do during their lifetime. So in this case, Kyoshi was named after an island and created a bunch of warriors in her name. So I think that's a cool little detail about that world.
That land, I guess.
The world, I guess.
The land.
Well, I mean, one of the things about that episode that I feel is also a trademark of this series, which if you look at it, from the distance, not knowing what this really is, you would be under the impression this is some kind of a kids, only cartoon, and they wouldn't have any kind of they wouldn't facilitate a pretty profound conversation when it comes to war. And with this episode, you see the consequence of Aang learns the consequence of him being in a particular place or a location or a city or a town for too long, because as soon as the Fire Nation catches wind of where he is, they show up and they tear shit up.
Mm-hmm.
And he realizes the hard way that he learns the hard way that he needs to avoid these kind of places for too long, because he puts the blame on himself, rightfully so, I'd say, for being responsible for the Fire Nation having showed up and burned the town.
Yeah. And like that's like I don't know if I would say like I like about Aang, but it's just like his like anxiety about everything, I guess. I don't know, like I feel like it's so relatable, and I love that like kids get to see that in a character.
Right. And you're reminded he is a kid. He acts like a kid. There's the spirit, the youth, and the excitement that goes with it, and of course always, the sense of fun. But he's entirely or overly naive.
Yeah, he's not stupid.
Like,
yeah.
He knows what this war is about.
Yeah.
Like immediately when we saw, circling back to the first episode, it's like there was a reason he didn't tell people he was the Avatar. Like he kind of figured that he didn't identify with that. He didn't want that identity first and foremost, which is a different, subject matter altogether. Like having this identity placed on you and you trying to reconcile who you really are with that. That's something else together. But you just see the themes that were being like given in these first few episodes are like, whoa, like they packed this shit in in a series like this. Like, wow.
Like deep things.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah. I have nothing to say.
But episode 4, of course, I think what really makes all of the episodes work, let's say the episodes that are not as plot heavy like episode 3 or maybe even the Winter Solstice episodes, but have a little bit more of a lighthearted nature. I appreciate that so much. I appreciate the importance of that, because not only, of course, do you need moments of levity in any situation, but of course in an animated series, but the humor is also a trademark of this series. And the humor is also a big part of why you love these characters.
Yeah. Like Sokka, he's
Sokka. Don't call him Soka. Don't do the M. Night Shyamalan. Alexys Moreno almost blew up right now. Do not call him Soka.
Sokka. Okay. You get like this sense of like, again, what we mentioned before, like he has like this essence of like undoubtedly very masculinated kind of thing, and that kind of lends him into trouble and all that stuff. And I like how there's like kind of consequences for that, and so it lends itself into some good physical comedy and, you know, gags that go on with that, like him facing.
I mean, with him with Suki, like him meeting the Kyoshi warriors for the first time, and he's very like, oh, I could do that. I'm a warrior in my village and blah, blah, blah. And Suki's like, oh, really? Like, can you actually fight? And they completely just like
I completely
bring
own
him down.
Yeah.
But he also like, he is very macho and stuff, but I like that episode and what they did with his character when he apologizes and is like, teach me, like I need to learn this. So I don't know, I think I really
it's
like
really no, I agree with you. It's very alien, you know, in our lives and in our culture to come across people who are willing to recognize their mistakes, accept failure for what it is, look at failure as a useful tool, and make yourself a better person. I wonder where we can see that in our lives.
Yeah, and that makes him like such. I mean, obviously, all these characters are great, but I think that makes him like one of the best characters. Like that he's able to admit defeat
and you
get back up.
And again, throughout the progression of these episodes, you see the progression of all these characters, like. Aang, he doesn't run away and all this stuff, but in these first 10, you already see exponential changes about the effects that these journeys are, the way that this journey is affecting these kids. And they're not very stagnant, because it's very easy to just like, oh, that was the lesson of the day, you know, kind of thing. And like the lesson of the week is, you know, oh, tea is good. Just to like make an example, tea is good. That's the lesson of the episode. But no, there's actual, you know, enduring things like humility. That was a thing with Sokka. Aang, he's constantly learning about like this overburdening responsibility that he has, that is like that I think kids need to like learn, because like responsibility is burdening, but like sometimes you just have to do it and accept it to make the world go round, kind of thing. And I think that that's a very valuable lesson to input on kids. Again, this is a children's TV show, but like it's very ahead of its time in terms of like what it's trying to teach kids and the lessons that these kids are trying to learn and everything like that. I mean, Katara, she's just like, she's always like, you know, motivated by what has to happen. Things have to go a precise way, but then throughout the whole entire thing, she learns to kind of give in and subdue into those practicalities. That is good. And I could see why he would, you know, be very trepidatious until later seasons, because she is on the.
She's like she reminds me of Book 1 Hermione.
It's Leviosa, not Leviosa.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if anyone has ever told you this, Alexis, but you have a really interesting history of hating women. Again, so you're saying Hermione? You hated Hermione
in the
like,
first book?
She was
annoying.
She is what Snape calls an insufferable know-it-all.
Yes.
Okay,
but again,
I'm kidding, of course.
Moreno, why do you hate women?
Well, I mean,
just kidding.
I don't even know why you're like. Okay,
But I love Suki.
I want to point out, though, no, you were saying?
No, nothing. I just said I love Suki, though.
She's barely in the show, though.
Exactly. She's already better than
We need a Suki spinoff.
And this is not to trash another show that's out there right now, but we recently had a discussion about episodic television. This, I feel, is the best example of you having episodic television where you have certain episodes that are contained in the single space, or let's say it begins and it ends in the same space of an episode, at least the main plot or story or whatever have you. But like I said in the beginning, none of these feel like throwaways. None of these feel like a waste of time. And they do it, I think, in a very proficient manner, because you do... Every episode, I think, helps to push the story forward. And I think perhaps the only real plot-heavy episodes, which we'll get to in a bit... What was episode 4? I'm sorry, episode 5 and 6.
That's the Boomy episode. The Kingdom of Omashu.
Oh, okay. Okay. You see, that's also... that's a lot of fun, because in that sense, Boomy... I felt that Boomy was doing a couple of things. Of course, he was having a lot of fun, less to mess with Aang and everything. But it also, I think, it comes from the perspective that the Avatar would have to succeed in those tests. And this is kind of the first real challenge that Aang has been given by anyone to kind of prove that he can hold the mantle of the Avatar in which others had failed. And it also helps to reorient Aang's priorities, which is he's also devoted to his friends. So there's so much that happens in all these episodes that nothing is like a waste.
Again, this is why like it's so important, because like this is like the latching onto like his newfound family that he has, because his previous family went the way of the dodo, unfortunately. So with these two newfound companions that he has, it kind of like it's kind of all he has, and those two are his entire world. So
and also, yes, you have his newfound family, but he also found a piece of his old life in this episode, which
with Boomy. Yeah. I mean, it is
also,
when they hug, it was like,
no.
Bruh, Boomy is jacked.
Another thing about this show, again, like, I love the importance, and I think this is borrowed from Japanese culture in general, is, the respect to your elders. Unlike in this country when we're so happy to just, put them on an offering plate, and it's fine, they can sacrifice themselves, who gives a shit? But here in this program, your elders, and there was even, I think, in the Boomy episode when when Aang is impersonating an old person, the guard was like attacking Sokka for not carrying his like grandfather's bag or something, which is what Aang was impersonating himself. So I do love a lot of those kind of inherent values that you'd think would be universal again, but I love that it's such a thing in this show, and old guys here can kind of kick your ass. Like, fuck, Iroh and Boomy.
Iroh kicks major ass.
Oh, yeah.
Holy shit.
So
and he's in
Boomy,
chains. And he's in chains.
It's kind of funny. Yeah. Boomy, boomer.
Oh, my God. Don't insult him like that.
I think he's past boomer age.
Well past that, and, well worth it. I wouldn't care if he lived forever. He's actually pretty interesting though. Like, who'd let Boomy be a king? Like, he's kind of
I want to know that story.
Probably just like forced it.
They're probably just like, well, he's the eldest. Might as well just. Here you go.
He's jacked too. So.
And we shouldn't, of course, like pass this episode without mentioning the introduction of the "Oh My Cabbages" guy.
Oh cabbages! Yeah, man, that was just supposed to be like a 1 episode thing.
But it became a
I don't know
running
what
gag.
happened. Yeah, it totally did. It even went on to Korra, so...
Are you serious?
Yeah, I think it was on like a one-time thing, but in Korra,
He has his own, like,
he has his empire.
cabbages.
He's still living?
No. He has, like, he made his, like, company of cabbages.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Oh.
He's like the Walt Disney of cabbages.
Walt Cabbage.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that was a great episode. And then we have another episode which I think is a great one because it has to do with Pyro. But it's Imprisoned. Why did I write movie?
How they felt it.
Wait, what was that? I think that episode was after the Winter Solstice episodes, right?
No, that's before.
No.
It's right before the winter solstice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. This is the episode where they stop by and the town is being attacked by a spirit, which, by the way, when they fully revealed the design of that monster, that spirit monster, again, long time since I think I screamed. It was like, whoa. That shit is kind of disturbing to look at. The spirit monster, you know what I'm talking, like it's kind of like faceless. It walks on all fours. It kind of reminds you of those like space dogs from Infinity War, or if you watch the Hunger Games movies, there were monsters like those that would just like those dogs that would eat people alive.
People still talk about that spirit monster, and they're just like, that's too much, man.
It's demonic.
Yeah.
It feels demonic.
Yeah, no, but actually the face one, right? That's the one that you're talking about.
Yeah.
He later comes into play. I don't know if you guys have ever read the comics, but he later comes into play with that. Yeah.
Really?
And it has to do with Zuko, so it's pretty cool.
It's funny you mentioned that because years ago, I think it was when we were both living in San Diego, Moreno, you and I, every now and then we'd go into a bookstore, a Barnes and Noble or something. And there was this in La Jolla or San Diego, or what have you. There was this one instance where, and we'd spend like an hour in there easily, like just looking at shit.
Yeah.
And like we would never buy anything, but like it's fun to look. It's fun. I bought the Ahsoka book one time. That was it.
How dare you guys not support small businesses like Barnes and Noble?
Oh, okay. I thought you were being serious.
Yeah. But I stumbled across those comics and I'm like, what? There were comic books of like Avatar, and I'm like, this thing went on. Like I was aware of Korra, but like I never watched Korra, and also I never knew that there were comic books, and it featured an older like Zuko and Aang, and I'm like, wow.
Yeah, the comic books, at least the first ones that came out, it's literally like it starts off on the last episode, and then it continues.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then I think one set of comic books is, which is the one that I'm talking about. It's about Zuko finding his mom. Yeah. And then just like different things. I think there's also Korra comic books now.
Yeah. I think there's a new one coming out. I just know it's called like Imbalance. I don't know if this is like new news or something, but it's. I'm pretty sure. I'm just looking at pictures here, but. I'm pretty sure it's about the start of Republic City, which is the place that takes place in Korra. It's a place that Aang created where all people from every nation can come live together.
Spoilers? I'm kidding.
Wait, so Avatar, Aang, the Last Airbender, he wins at the end? Wow.
Stay tuned. But what's it called?
Imprisonment.
Yeah. So then this one, you see they meet a kid from the Earth Kingdom, who lives in a town where earthbending is forbidden.
Wait. Did we skip one?
No.
I thought that we were talking about the episode where the spirit monster happened.
That's the winter solstice.
Yeah, the prison one is before the winter solstice episodes.
Gotcha. The earthbender that gets taken away.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a cool episode. Because in this one I feel like you get to see Kataro's personality, which I do like in this episode. But she's
a real rebel.
I have a problem with this one also. Not with the episode itself, but with the movie.
The movie?
Because
there's a
have
movie?
They have this storyline in the movie, but they completely take it away from Katara and give it to Aang. So, I don't know. I don't like that because I actually like her in this episode, so I don't know. But she basically, she gets, this is the one where, the old man rats on the kid because he helped him out.
Right.
That's the old man that we don't like.
Of course not, no. But there's another old man that we see later on with Jet that saved the day.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, so, boomers, what can you do?
Fucking boomers.
But yeah, the kid gets taken away. But he also has a dad.
What? This is the episode with George Takei.
Yes.
Right. George Takei is.
Yeah.
God, I know that voice anywhere. Like he has the most distinct voice. He and James Hong you can pick up anywhere in anything there are. You're aware of who James Hong is, right?
No.
James Hong is from Mulan. He did the Royal Vizier character.
Yeah.
He's also Poe's dad in a Kung Fu Panda.
There's a lot of people that come out in the show. Like General Zhao is Lucius Malfoy, so yeah. And there's also Star Wars
That's
connection.
Jason Isaacs?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
Legendary martial artist and Asian actor Mako does the voice of Iroh.
Yeah.
Which is,
I miss him so much.
Rufio is freaking Zuko. I mean,
God, I feel that character ruins it. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I was just pushing buttons there. I didn't mean it.
No, but yeah.
Kyle gets so attacked when anybody just pushes the needles on hook. It's like, oh my God, you wouldn't even know how much you'd go ape
Mae
shit.
Whitman.
Mae Whitman is Katara.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many Clancy Brown. He was the
Clancy Brown's in everything, man. Have you counted the number of things? He was in one of those Mandalorian episodes, right?
Yeah,
he was one of those the Horn character.
What's his name? Rex, I believe.
D. Bradley
Baker.
He does the voice for Momo and Appa.
Of course.
And also guard characters as well. The prisoner has escaped, and I was like, that sounds familiar. I'm getting flashbacks. A presence.
It was weird because I just finished rewatching Star Wars Rebels, and I could have sworn that one of the throwaway Rebel pilots, one of those voices was I heard in Avatar too. It's oh, okay, so. Dave Filoni literally works with the same people.
Oh yeah,
and Dave
show. Filoni directed a lot of these. Oh, actually, I wrote down he did episode
the first two episodes.
This episode that we're talking about, and then episode 10.
Mm-hmm. You know what's crazy and funny to me? He leaped from King of the Hill to Avatar: The Last Airbender.
He's an interesting career at King of the Hill to Avatar, and then his work on Avatar got him the interview with George Lucas to do the Clone Wars, and then look where he is now. It's
and at first, when he got the call from George, he pretty much told him to go fuck yourself because he thought it was a prank.
It's on I think episode 1 of The Gallery on Disney Plus. That whole story, if you want to look at it, it's a pretty good story.
Yeah, I just got excited because they mentioned Avatar. I always forget that he directed a bunch of these episodes until I watched them and I see his name on there and I'm like, oh yeah.
I was never aware, of course, that he was on. Of course, in the original, I was and we should also clarify this as well. I do believe I was the only person that would watch. Part of the reason why I hadn't seen it in a decade is I watched this program as it was broadcast in real time, a week-to-week thing. My brother and I, we watched this we were one of the originals, so I don't want to brag or anything. I'm kidding, of course.
OG fans. We're all fake fans.
OG here.
But like, when did you guys hop on this show? Like,
I was there from the beginning, actually. When it was programmed, because I watched way too much TV as a kid. But
all of us did, man. I think we were all in the
We
same
were
boat.
raised by film and TV. It's like literally that gag from How the Grinch Stole Christmas. It was like kids today so desensitized by movies and television.
But I saw it when it was airing, and then it was around season 3 that Ale got into it, and we watched it together.
Uh-huh.
And
I kind of watch it. I'm actually really bad at watching TV. Like, I need to like watch it all in one shot, or like just keeping up with it. Like, I'm just really bad at it. And then we would spend summers with my cousins like at their house, and we would always pick like something to watch like while we were there, like either like movie franchises or just like series. Like, we knocked out all the Friends in like a week.
Oh my god.
And then this was like one of them. So I think when we watched it then, it wasn't like that long after it stopped airing that I watched it. It might have been like maybe a year or two after. But yeah, that's when I was like, wow, it changed my life forever.
I saw this show in 2018.
dang.
Yeah, that was the first time. Because I know my cousins, they all watched it and they were big Avatar fans and all that stuff. And they wanted me to play Avatar with them as kids. And I was like, okay. And they're like, you're Ozai. And I'm like, oh, I guess I'm Ozai. They're like, move your arms around. And then I'm like, okay, here. I was like making whooshing noises, thinking that, okay, is this the show?
How old was your cousins?
Very young.
Yeah, I would have told him to fuck off.
Hey, at least he's Mark Hamill.
No, wait, I just remembered, Kyle, it's fine. It's fine that you saw it in 2018. I just listened to a podcast of someone that's going to see it for like the first time when it came back on.
There's a lot of people who haven't seen it. I mean, it's hard to believe, but that's the case. And imagine there will be, like, I'm sure, a generation of people who watch the live action series first when that drops on Netflix, which is incoming, I think, next year, right?
Yeah, I think so.
My introduction to this show was the M. Night Shyamalan film.
Oh, yeah.
It was on Nickelodeon. It was airing. It was right after SpongeBob. I was already there.
Ooh.
So I watched
What a disappointment that was.
I watched it.
It was like Maleficent all over again. But like worse.
Except you didn't get like cool ass ears out of it or horns to block everybody's view in the back.
I'm sure at some point we'll do a special episode talking about that film because there's a lot. I haven't seen it even longer than I've seen the show, I think. So it was like because there's no reason to watch that ever again. You know?
Like, so when I finally went to go and watch it, I was like, oh, okay, the plot lines are somewhat familiar. Holy shit, this is better. So I watched it all the first season because I was on a road trip to Idaho around that time, so I downloaded the first.
Oh yeah, I remember.
That was that long ago?
Okay.
I downloaded the entirety of the first season on my iPad to watch on the road and all that stuff where Wi-Fi is not abundant. So I downloaded the first season on my iPad and watched the first season, and then I got home and I binged the next two. I was like, holy shit, like as you know, I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but you know, with the moon and all that stuff, I was like, holy shit, where does this go next? Like I can't stop, and like the development is so good, and I honestly think that this is great binge worthy material because it's only 3 seasons, 20 minutes a pop. You're gonna get through it no problem. And it has such a good rewatchability. Like I remember it still has that magic that I feel after, you know, because I'm doing my rewatch right now, and
All of us are. What are you talking about? We all are watching it. Peter's watching it. I'm watching it.
It still holds up. Like, I still feel like I'm watching it for the first time. Just getting reintroduced to all these characters again. It just feels, it's like a breath of fresh air amongst these crazy times. You know,
like I read a tweet. I think I told you guys, but I read a tweet and it said, "When the world needed him most, he appeared."
Yeah, pretty much. Also, that's such a memeable thing as well. The whole, like, when the world needed him most, he vanished.
But going back to, like, imprisonment, I agree with you. I think it was a great episode for Katara to really show who she is. Like, yeah, she's motherly, and yeah, she can waterbend, but, like, what is she about? And you can definitely see the influence of losing her family, particularly her mother, has had on her. And she's the rebel. Yeah. She kind of invokes Princess Leia in a way, and, like, she's like, okay, well, let's do this. Let's just do a resistance, a rebellion. Yeah. And she, against all odds, finds a way to bring the fight back to the captured earthbenders, which is like restoring one's hope is not an easy thing to do. And she did that out of just pure will and because she's good. And yeah, part of her attitude is that she's persistent and she won't give up. Yeah. But I feel like one of the things that I've always liked about Katara is that she does, and you see it in many of these episodes, from like moments where she's trying to like hide the truth from Aang to like spare his feelings, or like she's one of the first people like gets the idea in Aang's head, like, hey, it's not a good idea for you to like get comfortable being here because we gotta go because you know what's gonna happen. Yeah. So she's on top of things, and I appreciate her, and she does share resemblance with Leia because they both kind of really didn't have childhoods. It just grew up. Yeah. And they kind of like, again, when you're watching A New Hope, Luke and Leia are the same age, but she just acts and carries herself as she's so much older than he is.
Place, you know? That I think that's like what makes Leia and like Katara so, you know, uniquely female.
What?
The thing I like, I mean, I don't know, this is just like me. I tend to go to like the darker side of people and like why they are the way that they are. But I like that she basically like fights for them because she didn't fight for her mother.
Right.
Like, and when I think, at least when you think about it like that, like it's so sad. But it's also just like great storytelling. I don't know.
Again, it's like they're like ogres. They have layers. Yeah. Again, it's like they don't like. There are like expository dialogue for the kids and all that stuff, but they don't treat kids stupid in this show. You know, and it's so easy to have a children's show like, can you see Swiper? It's so easy to pull that shit in like children's programming, but no, they don't dumb it down. Like they do delve into the dark. Like Fire Lord Ozai is a fucking child abuser, like
to his own kids. No, but yeah. Like, it's, I don't know. I really like the dark sides to the show because I feel like it just gives it more
oomph.
Yeah.
By the way, can we just say that, wait, wrong episode, sorry. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. I'm
do you want to talk about the next episode?
Which one? That's the one where the spirit thing happens?
The spirit thing.
Okay, so with Iroh being imprisoned, before that even happens, oh my god, didn't that hot spring look like the best thing ever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, who I would kill? Who one of you I would kill to get a hot spring like that in my backyard? Like, oh my god, like that honestly is like the dream. That looked like heaven, and of course it gets ruined by the fucking like rocks and shit like that, and like, oh my god, and you can tell that when Iroh is captured, he's like, fuck, he ruined my hot spring. Not like, I didn't give a shit that he was captured.
Yeah. So there's like, for the Winter Solstice episode, it's actually like a 2-parter, but for this episode specifically, there's 2 storylines going on.
Right.
So since we're already talking about Iroh, I love this episode for Iroh because you get to see him now, which is, man, he is the best character in the show.
You get a lot of clues and hints and things that are not even addressed, but the episode goes out of its way to tell you. Like, one of the things that I don't recall, again, long time since I haven't seen the show. He saw the spirits of Aang and the dragon fly by. And he was like, what?
So he is one of the few people in this world to be in tune completely with both worlds.
And it shows you, like, right then and there, like, there's so much more to this guy you don't know yet. Like, he's somewhere underneath there. I mean, the episode, that's kind of what he does. It's like he constantly, like, uses the soldiers underestimating him to his advantage. Like, of course, and he does it so, like, he does it in a way where it's like, you can tell, like, it's just so damn easy. Like, I'm elderly, can you please, like, tighten up the shackles?
He uses
and
his
everything.
appearance and, like, this cliches and stereotypes as a weapon, and he uses that as his advantage. Like, he uses the whole "I'm old" thing, and he gets his way. He and
even with Zuko, he gets his way. Like how he's like, 5 more minutes, and he's like, okay. And then, but like, I also love how you see, if it was anybody else, they would have completely just left him there. But
of course,
it's Zuko with his uncle, and he's like, no, we have to go find him. And he knows, like, who his uncle is, and he knows his tricks and stuff like that.
And what I've always appreciated about Iroh is that no matter who he talks to or what characters he interacts with, his demeanor never changes. He's always just, like, kind to, like, everyone.
Yeah.
He's kind of like, again, we compare everything to fucking Star Wars, but it is very much Yoda circa Empire Strikes Back. He's very, like, troll. He's a troll, and he trolls on other people. He, like, just putting, like, heating up his irons while he's clamped to, like, just, like, bust out of there, like him using his wits and everything like that to outsmart everyone. He's such an ingenious character, and, like, he uses all that stuff, like his whole sense of humor, as, like, kind of like defense mechanism because of his past that he has that we'll get to later. That's, like, heartbreaking and probably, like, one of the most emotionally driven parts of the series.
And what's also important about that episode is it was a big moment for Zuko, and for us to understand Zuko more, that when he's given the chance to go chase the Avatar or to save his uncle, he saves his uncle.
Yeah. Also, like, the endearing qualities that he has towards, like, the way that he feels about his uncle too. It's like, he's like,
he's his father. That's his real father.
Yeah. He may have been your father, but he wasn't your daddy.
Oh my god.
There was one moment where, you know, I kind of broke out in tears. It's just a simple thing. He's like, you know, great form, Zuko. And then he says, you know, you taught me well. And just, like, that simple exchange is so beautiful. It's so, it speaks volumes of what their relationship is like because of that. Like, just.
Yeah, you do get the impression, not to cut you off, but to support you in what you're saying. It's like, while they do act as villains and antagonists to Katara, Sokka, and Aang.
You mean Ong?
As I mentioned in the get-go, fuck you. They are presented as just sad victims of war. And they're really on a road. I'm not sure Iroh's on that road, but Zuko very much is on that road for redemption.
I think Iroh is as well. I think his redemption is Zuko. and teaching him to be good.
Oh, yes. But we don't know that yet, I think. That's like, I mean, that's from these first 10 episodes, it's like, that's like what we can infer from those first 10 episodes is what we're shown there. I think that Iroh stuff, of course, plays much, I think, bigger in season 2. But yeah.
And then we have Aang's story where he goes into the spirit world for the first time. And he learns that he needs to go and talk to Roku. And we also get to see the Fire Nation for the first time. Earth Kingdom. Because of all of the Avatar Temple? What are they called?
What are you talking about?
The statues?
How they all lit up.
That was in episode 3.
Oh, my bad. Never mind. Okay. Well, yeah, like...
But there is a statue of Roku that, you know... The light has to... When the winter solstice, like, hits the light in the sun and hits the statue... There's one.
The winter solstice.
At least there's one statue.
Well, yeah, he learns that he needs to go to his, like...
Avatar Temple
and stuff to...
Talk to him.
World. Yeah, and kind of... He desperately is, like, looking for advice on, like, what to do. Because he has no clue. He literally left, like, the day that he was told he was the Avatar. So he has no idea what to do, how to do it, anything. And so, yeah. How do you guys feel about the spirit world?
Cool as fuck.
It's creepy.
It's creepy.
It's creepy as fuck. Like that shit came out. Yeah. You don't see a lot of it here, but it's very. Yeah, creepy is the word for it.
I love it when shows dive into like spirituality in that sense. I don't know. That's my bag.
Yeah. I feel like this is, at least for like kids shows, I mean, there might be some more out there, but I feel like this is one of the first ones I see where it's like very like zen, like they talk about all that stuff, which I also liked. Like we were never like fully around that, but my mom was always like into that, like and it's kind of funny to like see how it's such like a trend now to be that way and to learn about those things. Like
Marie Kondo your life, yo.
So it's kind of it's interesting. So then we go on to part 2 of the Winter Solstice, which is episode 8, and he has to go into the Fire Nation to talk to Roku. And it's kind of like this big like battle scene with you have Aang and Appa and like the rest of the people flying into the Fire Nation, but you also have Zuko on a boat and then General Zhao like trying to block them. And they're just like going at it. And we get to see a little bit of Zhao and like his military expertise and just like how he follows Zuko and stuff. And then Zuko's like, I'm gonna trick him. And he leaves his boat to go a different way. And Aang is finally able to talk to Roku by the end. And he basically tells him, like, you need to defeat the Fire Lord.
We're finally given the plot, really.
Yeah. In episode 8.
Yes.
Yeah, and, like, the comet, comes into play as well. That is pretty much the finale. You get, like, the incense of what
that he basically
the
has...
bigger picture is at stake.
Yeah.
And...
So here we learned that he has, like, what, a whole year, maybe?
Yeah,
like
end of the summer.
End of the summer to learn all of the elements.
Well, wait. There's a little bit of a dispute with that, because in another episode in those 10 episodes we discussed, Sokka said about the end of next summer.
So a year.
I always get confused with next summer, so I think it is a full year, not the end of this summer.
Okay.
Right?
I think so. I think so. I always get confused with, like, the dates.
Yeah.
Me too.
But I want to say it's a whole year, because I feel like, because later on, they, like, talk about something else that happens in between, and it's, like, a few months away from when they learn about it.
Yeah.
So I want to believe it's a whole year.
Right.
It is, because of the final episode. They say, I can't believe it's been a year.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, that answered the question. There we go.
What's it called? He has to learn all of, how to master all of the elements. Or else, I'll go to shit.
Where does
that's pretty
keep
much
his
it.
razor?
An apple?
Okay. Just random thoughts. Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah. No, well, yeah, again, we were just finally given the plot of the story, and it ends in, like, a really badass way, at least for me, because I kind of like when Roku's like, you're in trouble, I'm going to help you. Just tell me when you're ready. And it's like, then the eyes start glowing, and he's like, I'm ready. And then, like, you kind of see, like, the full power of, like, not just Roku, but, like, the fire bending style of the Avatar state. It was awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally destroyed his island, almost.
Yeah.
And it's a little glimpse of what Aang's full potential is, too.
Could be. Yeah. Yeah. What's it called? Also, shout out to that guard that helped him out.
Yeah.
Yeah, one of the sages that helped him out on that island. Yeah.
I feel bad for him.
Yeah. Probably got his head chopped off, but oh well. He should have worn a mask.
Oh, God.
But yeah, that's basically the point of those 2 episodes. And then we get to episode 9, which is the one where they meet the pirates. And get the waterbending scroll. And we get Aang's first bending teacher, which is, well, kind of bending teacher, because she's learning as she's teaching also.
Yeah.
This is an important way to really show one of Katara's flaws, which I think had been lacking up until this episode, to really see her have some character moments that were flawed, right? And her jealousy really kind of took her over. And I think, it's understandable in the sense that we've all, I feel, have been in a place where we really put in a lot of time and effort at, like, practicing and, like, getting better at this one thing. And then we've come across other people who are just so naturally able to do it so fucking easily. And I think it's important to understand that, jealousy is obviously not a flattering thing for anyone to exhibit, but we've all been there. We just have. It's just part of life. Everyone feels that way, and it's aggravating. I know one of the things, at least for me, in my life, one of my classmates, I think we all know him, Josh Heron, in high school, he literally put his head down the entire class when it came to Algebra 2. I had to have a tutor, like, help me out. And I could, I could muster in that class for a grade? A C-. And Josh did not do nothing. He just took the tests. And that was that. And it made me feel like the stupidest person on the face of the planet.
Literally.
Because I couldn't get...
So Ella was pointing at me the whole time because she's like...
Okay, wait, let me give you my backstory.
Oh, boy.
We hit geometry. Wait, close the door. 'Cause it's like, we hit geometry.
Fuck geometry.
I would go every single day for tutorial to get extra help. my cousin, who is a year younger than us, she is in a grade below us, but she's our age. She was born in December. She was also in geometry that same year. I would Skype with her every day to help me with my homework. I would literally ask questions all the time. I failed. The ending of that story. Algebra 2 was like, okay, it's not the best. I just started going back to school, and this semester was my first math class. Took it in person because I knew I suck at it, and I knew that I would need that extra help. Come COVID.
Come COVID.
And that all went to crap.
Oh my god.
So I asked this guy next to me for help to take my tests. Every single question I got wrong.
Yeah, I'll tell her, like, no, that's not it.
And literally, like, I would have to use the calculator. Like, I had to write everything down. He would just do it in his head in 2 seconds. Oh my, I would get so mad.
Yeah, it's beyond frustrating. You know what? I've become so comfortable in my complete stupidity and ignorance to do any kind of mathematical calculations that I've just come, when anybody asks me a question, I'm like, I can't math. Ask somebody else. I'm not bothering it. No.
It's ridiculous how bad I am. Like, and like the only reason I would get like the problems wrong is like because I didn't add like 2 + 1. It's so stupid and it's so frustrating, but whatever. But yeah, no, that episode totally relatable.
I'll just say,
yeah, absolutely.
I took pre-calculus in my senior year of high school. It's a very proud moment for me, honestly.
You took pre-calculus?
Yeah, I didn't even have to.
Gross.
I just took it. I did have like 2 years of I think it was like 6th and 8th grade. I actually had like a lot of trouble with math. I don't know why. Like it's so bad in 6th that I needed like a parent-teacher conference, and so bad in 8th that they literally put me down what is it?
A level?
A level, I guess. They put me down a level in terms of math. I don't know why. I just had like horrible year in math those times.
Teacher, what are numbers?
Yeah.
that's how
You know how bad I was at. You know how bad I was at math at one point? I think you know how we used to have those standardized testing weeks every year in high school? I think it must have been sophomore year, which is the year I had geometry, and that was my low point. I think I can't, and when it comes to the math standardized testing, thank you, Jeb Bush, if you're out there listening, for those fucking Common Core thing. But it's embarrassing to say out loud, it really is. But I feel like I should have to just like be upfront with it. But I honestly can't tell you. I don't remember. I might have blocked it out. If I was like below basic or far below basic when it came to like the score that I got for
I was probably the same.
The math test for standardized testing.
No clue.
Like public education, I don't know if that's like public education failed me or I'm just that stupid when it comes to math. Maybe I'm dyslexic. I don't know, and I don't even know it. I don't know. I just couldn't get
both.
it.
Maybe it was both.
Yeah. Because it was so uncharacteristic. Because like everything else, I was like fine at or good, but like that was the thing that was just like the thorn at my side, the being of my existence for years.
If I were patient enough, I think I could be good at math. But I'm just like, I want to get to equals 2 as soon as possible. And like the ridiculous steps that it would take to just solve one equation is just ridiculous. PEMDAS could go fuck itself.
That's the thing though. Like I actually like math. Like I like when
I
we
like
get
it
to
when
the,
I can actually figure it out.
I like that, and I do like the big problems. Like I like figuring it out, but I can't.
Okay, you know what? This is going on a big tangent, but it doesn't matter. You know what's interesting about that PEMDAS thing you just mentioned,
Yes.
Kyle? So when my occupation requires me to actually do some teaching, I think it was in a 5th grade class or 6th grade class, and I was actually co-teaching with somebody else who was in the room, and they were doing the order of operations. PEMDAS, as we would know it, as we were taught in our, in the old days. And I say that because they didn't know what the fuck I was talking about. And I'm like, what? And then like she tells me, oh yeah, they got rid of that, and I'm like,
why?
And I feel like Mr. Incredible and Incredibles 2, they changed math.
Math
Like,
is
math.
Math is math.
No, actually, it happened with us too. We were babysitting our neighbors' kids, and like, dude, this was like just simple multiplication or something like that.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the heck they were doing. It made no sense because like she would solve the equation and then get that answer and just do a completely different equation that like has nothing to do with like solving for X. It's just, here, do this too.
It got to the point that we had to wait for the parents to get home, and then we had to ask them,
Yeah.
hey, did we do it right?
Yeah. And like it was weird. Like say like they'll say like solve for X. Okay, cool. And then it's like X is equals 72, and and then literally the example would say, cool. Now split that 72 into 2 numbers, and like do this equation.
Do a seance. Sacrifice a goat.
And then like solve for like that whatever equation you just made up. Literally, we have to make it up on the spot or something. And then it'll tell us to check the answer. I'm like, what's the whole point of this middle part?
It's so disorganized. I was even, what was even worse? I think in that same day, while I was having the discussion with my peer, she was telling me, this is 6th grade. And I asked them, because I was doing long division to kind of like figure certain things out. And she says to me, oh yeah, they don't know how to do that. They're in 6th grade and they can't do long division? And here I am busting my ass. I hadn't done long division in like years, and I'm like, wait, what? This is for nothing? And you know how bad it is with me in math? Like whenever like I'm in a classroom and like this kid like comes up to me and like they hand me a math problem to help him out, I get such anxiety. I have to like literally calm myself from having a panic attack just so I can like, okay, calm down. It's gonna be okay. All right, let's do this. That's how bad.
Alexis, as a fellow substitute teacher, I feel you. And mind you, this is elementary math.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. Me too. Elementary math.
Like honestly, thank God the teachers put up the multiplication charts.
Oh my God. I would like honestly literally
Like, I see it.
Oh my God, it'd be such a sigh
I
of
see
relief.
that and I'm like, okay. I won't look like a complete like freaking hack.
The worst is when like shapes are involved and I'm like, oh no, I can't do this.
I actually thought that
I won't.
I actually thought that geometry was kind of fun. I'm not gonna lie.
No.
I hated it. I wanted to die.
I died. I did die.
Area, circumference, you name it. I actually like that kind of math, but like,
You know what I remember about my geometry class? My teacher, right before the final, was going through a review. He realized we were all dumb as bricks, and he was like, I think halfway through his review session, he literally just like gave us the most disappointed look, gave up, and sat down.
Wait, did we have the same class?
Mr. Landy.
Yeah.
I don't know. Did that happen to you too? Were we in the same class and didn't know it?
Maybe. It was always dark in there.
I mean, emotionally, yeah, it was dark.
before the dark times.
No, yeah, I remember that. He was just like, he just lost hope.
He gave up so many times. Like, it was kind of sad. He was so defeated. But then again, so were we. So, I mean...
Yeah.
Welcome to the School Days podcast where we talk about the pod.
Our traumas.
That was a massive tangent. I'm sorry, but it was.
We needed to let it out.
This
is what this
years.
episode caused.
like Peter has said that this podcast is cheaper than therapy. So
it is therapy.
You should call this episode "Fuck Math."
Fuck math. Oh yeah, we talked about the Last Airbender as well.
But anyway, to the point with Katara, it's nice to see her experience the same kind of feeling that we all had at that point.
The last.
And yeah, what happened?
I said the last math equation. I don't know.
Oh my god. Interesting though, we get introduced to pirates.
Yeah.
In this, and they're interesting. You've seen the pirates team up with Zuko. It was funny. And I love this moment where
this is
Zuko,
the one that you said earlier, where the uncle's looking for the
lotus thing. And they stumble on there. There's so many things about Iroh that I find so relatable. So when they're in the market and he's looking for the lotus thing, and he was talking about like it's always bad when you can't find the one thing you're looking for, but you can find so many other things. And then there's like these useless, like there's like I don't know, 3 people carrying nothing but useless crap to put on the ship, and it's like that's so me. Oh my god! And then later on, when Zuko and the pirates are fighting each other, and like Aang and everybody else is getting away, and Iroh says, like, are you so busy like fighting each other that you can't see that your own ship is sailing away? And it's hilarious because Zuko like interprets that to be like a proverb or something, but like in reality, the ship is sailing away.
He's just like, maybe it should be a proverb.
No, I think my favorite part was when he's asking Zuko to stop so he could go buy the lotus thing, and Zuko gets angry and he's like, "It's so great to have such an understanding nephew."
Isn't he kicking and screaming like in the background?
No, I like it when they get caught and then Kantara's like, "I'm sorry guys, this is all my fault," and then he's like, no, it's not your fault. Iroh just goes, Iroh. It kind of is. I mean,
kind of sounds like it. Yeah, I mean, Iroh is just like, I don't know. He's so relatable. At times, it's like he's commenting with what the audience is thinking. Like he's very much like a passive observer in all of this until later on in the series.
Passive observer.
Oh my god! You had to put that in here. Okay.
Did I tell you about the donut guys?
Oh no!
No.
Let's move on.
Yeah, that was a funny episode, and we should move on. Are we done?
No, we have one more. It's the jet episode.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wait, hold on. One more thing about episode 9. Actually, we got to see a bit of a Sokka's like smartness, how he tricked the pirates into going against Zuko. Remember?
Oh yeah, That's right. Which I mean, that was actually pretty like fucking amazing how that happened. It's like, well, yeah, why would you want a fucking like water scroll if you've got the avatar right then and there? Yeah.
I think it was just a cool little thing for Sokka.
And I mean, using Sokka, I mean, he has a big role in the next episode.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We have this one where they meet They meet
Saw Gerrera, basically.
Oh, I was gonna say they meet
Saw Gerrera and the
kids
Rebels
from Neverland.
There was wasn't it crazy how weird that like felt like to Hook?
Yeah.
Like the Lost Boys and Hook.
I know.
You mean that bad movie?
Well, it's because the treehouse, the treehouse like location and how they act, but then there's also like you infuse that with the ideology of a Saw Gerrera, where you're just like you're a rebel, but you're also a fucking terrorist and you kill people, innocent people. So it's like that took a twist. I forgot about the whole Jet character. Like, and then like when that twist happened, I'm like,
oh shit,
that was actually pretty dark in a kid's show. It's like, wait, they're beating up this innocent old man. And like, it's interesting because like, if you remember the last time they rescued an old man, that shit didn't work out for him. But in this case, so it kind of helps to kind of subvert expectations. Yeah, I said the damn term. But either way, it also introduces another element of war and whether or not you're willing to compromise your own values and who you are to win at all costs. And you see what happens with characters like Jet and Saw Gerrera, who are just nothing more than just these thugs that are no better than the bad guys.
My child, the Boogaloo. You will find the truth.
Oh my god.
Have you come to kill me? I'm sorry, continue.
The one thing that was annoying here, I will say, and I'm sure maybe you feel this way, but I feel maybe that they could have been better handled, but like, this is the second time that Katara meets somebody who had a similar experience as she did, losing their family to the Fire Nation. But man, she's like swooning too hard. Like, she practically throws herself at him. And many times throughout this episode, and I'm like, you're smarter than this, girl. Come on. And yeah, like Sokka does like mess up big time in the beginning of the episode, like literally leading them directly to a fucking Fire Nation camp. I mean, that was a blunder if there ever was one. But like, yeah, you felt bad for Sokka because nobody believed it.
And then
for
they
what
freaking
happened.
like try to get rid of him. Rude.
Yeah, I felt Katara should have like known better at that point. But I mean, I guess when you have hormones, that kind of goes out the window, doesn't it?
Ooh,
hey,
I can't.
Homegirl's been in one village this whole time with her brother as the only guy there.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get into the Zatara discussion.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Because we didn't acknowledge this back in previous episodes, but there was a moment, I think it might have been in the second episode and also another good in the fourth episode, but Aang gets really excited to show Katara
Aang and Katara
stuff.
have been there from the first second that they meet. This whole Zutara
right?
thing is
Okay,
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
Zatara, you mean?
Zutara. Zuko and
Wait, what?
Because there's like this thing where it's like Zuko and Katara should have ended up together.
Really? Did we have to do that? I know that there were like there's shippings and all these shows.
No.
We have...
This is the debate about the show. The debate.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But like, no. I'm sorry.
Zuko and Katara?
Yeah, because of...
I mean, just look at these 10 episodes.
Exactly.
Aang really...
Like, this is... It was always them. It does not make any... This whole Zutara thing just does not make any sense to me. Whatever. That's... Yeah.
So I got the impression Aang, like, he always gets so like cute and excited about like showing Katara things, and he gets so disappointed when she's not there. So it's like that's
and like,
you know what that is.
I think the moment that you completely see it is when Aang goes into the Avatar state in the third episode, and Katara's the one to be like, "You need to calm the fuck down," and she's the one to like, you know, bring him back, and like she's there for him, like she's his anchor type of thing. So it's like,
I wasn't even aware that Zatara was a thing. Thank you, Alexis, for making me hate fandom culture so much.
It's not just a
this
thing; it's a huge thing.
It's a thing.
Huge. Even the guy who plays Zuko, he's like the biggest like Zutara shipper. Like, he has like his own clothing of like them.
Fucking kill me.
It's kind of weird, isn't he? Like,
it's kind of the worst when the actors themselves like go out of their way to like, you know, do things like that. Like, come on.
Supposed to be like 18 or 17 or something like that?
Yeah, she's like 14. He's 16, I think.
No, I think they're both teenagers, maybe a few years apart, but not that big.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. But yeah.
Nobody complained when Han was hitting on a 19-year-old.
Well,
True.
does it Empire take place?
A New Hope. A New Hope. You go back and watch it. A New Hope. Like there was some shit going on there. Like look at all the like they hated each other, but they low key were like, well, you get, there was something going on there from the very beginning. You know how they are.
It's Carrie Fisher and it's Harrison Ford, two attractive people.
Go read about it in her novel. Carrie Fisher's novel,
The Princess Diarist,
or not her novel, but her diaries. Yeah, the Princess Diarist. Yeah, her tell-all book. I love those. They're the trash of like publications, but they're so popular, aren't they? Those tell-all books.
I love how she was like, "Yep, I had Harrison Ford in his prime." Everyone, like, what baller shit that is.
She didn't give a fuck. She probably died happy. I mean, considering the condition she was in.
No, but yeah, this is an interesting episode, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I would say maybe, at least for me, this is like, not saying it's a bad episode at all. Like, I love all these episodes, but for me, I think this one was like the weakest one.
Yeah, I would say, like, if you compare it to all the other ones. But I do like what I like about this episode is the moments for Sokka. Yeah. And, like, you do get a sense, like, okay, they're really propping him up as the leader of this group. And this is how he shows that he can be that. By literally warning the town to get the fuck out before they're, murdered, essentially, by Jet. Yeah. And it's also important, a little bit of nuance in this. Like, I think that also storylines like with characters like Jet help to keep things from being like overly black and white. Like black and white, like, dark and like evil and good stories are good. But as we've seen with like ancillary Star Wars material, like they can be improved with a little bit more nuance now and then. And it helps like fleshing out these characters.
But yeah, I mean, that's all for this one, at least.
That's all, folks. Can you say that legally?
I don't know.
Are we done?
Yeah, for this batch of episodes, yeah, I'm done. I have nothing.
This was actually a good number of episodes. We kept it under 2 hours, just about. Wow. When we keep a podcast under 2 hours, wow, that's a proud accomplishment. Wow. Yeah, because that wasn't the case for all the other ones. Well, thank you, Alexis, for having this idea. Like, honestly, I think this is the perfect time to get reinvested in a series like this. It's been such a joy to reacquaint myself with these characters, these people. And I feel we're going to have a good couple of weeks here, recapping the series and the episodes and talking about just all of the thematic stuff and why it is that we love it so much. And I'm sure I speak for all of us that maybe by the time that we're done with this rewatch, we'll love it even more. Who knows? But thank you all for listening. Thank you all for being here. Stay tuned on the Red Spotlight feed, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Wooshka, anywhere you listen to podcasts. Stay under the spotlight for more material, more content. And until next time, bye-bye.
Appa, yep.